Do you guys feel pressure because people are counting on your predictions? They're waiting. And then obviously, you're not writing for Purdue or Kansas State where you can just mail in the I'm going to be an optimistic 8-4 or whatever, and no pressure. And maybe a few people get mad because they think Kansas State's better than that, and they should go 10-2 and win. Or I'm picking Purdue to go 4-8 because no, and you get the fan base a little riled up. But we're talking people that national championship or bust. We're waiting for your prediction. You better get it right. If you don't, if you didn't pick us to win the national championship, then what's wrong with you? Oh, you did pick us to win the national championship. You're a homer, and that was going to be your pick anyway. And then I'll let you know where I stood on this and where I pulled the trigger.
Go ahead, Steve.
I'm thinking 13-0. I'll do a column that comes out Friday. I'm thinking 13-0. They've got the most talented team in football other than Georgia, it seems, or right there with Georgia. So I'm thinking in that range. But again, I do want to look over a few more things. It's not that I think that they're due to beat Michigan or anything, that I'm not giving Michigan credit for anything that they've done, which, they deserve tremendous credit. These were the best 2 seasons Michigan's had. Back to, 06 was really good and 16 was good, but the best 2 seasons in a row that Michigan's had back to the 90s, when they won the national championship. So, I believe in what Ohio State can put on the field. I just see there's so much talent there, and talent is a word, like JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer at this high end, Bosa type talent potentially. Tommy Eichenberg is a grinder, he's not Ryan Shazier, in terms of freak type player. And so they have all aspects of star, so to speak, between the grinders who are stars because they work so hard, and the Tuimoloaus, the Sawyers, the Marvin Harrisons, who are freaks, who are stars because they also work so hard. So there's a lot of talent on this team, top to bottom, side to side. And so, Travion Henderson, if he stays healthy, we saw some plays in the 2 days that we got to go. He gets the ball in the open field. It's 50 yards, drop of a hat. And good luck. I hope you've got an angle on him because if you don't, it's 75. So, they've got the potential to really do some special things this year. That's my feeling.
Yeah, they're the most talented team they'll see until December 31st or January 1st or whatever it might be. They're going to be favored in every game. The only game they aren't favored in right now is Michigan, and I think that's a 2.5-point line. So I expect it'll fluctuate at some point throughout the season. But there are 4 games that they can lose, 4 matchup games, as the coaches like to say. It's at Notre Dame, at Wisconsin, at Michigan, and the Penn State game at home. And if you want to ignore the Purdue game at your own peril, feel free to do that. Sometimes Ohio State has ignored it at their own peril, and we've seen what has happened there. But I've not put any predictions down. I think there's a part of me that thinks 10-2 is more likely than 12-0, but 11-1 is probably the most likely regular season thing. I feel confident that Michigan is going to lose at Penn State, but I could see those 3, Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan, all just beating each other. And then who knows how that all shakes out with the tiebreaker. So, no, I have not put any prediction down. When I do that, and I don't always necessarily do it. I'm not really concerned what other people think because I have enough of a track record of picking against Ohio State. So if somebody calls me a homer for picking Ohio State to win, it's like, do you realize Ohio State wins at like a 90% clip? So picking them to win something is not really being a homer. It's just like, well, they generally almost always win. So why would you pick against them? And I think the math is on my side with that one. But this is a national championship caliber team and with national championship goals. every time they've won a major recognized national championship, they've done it with a new starting quarterback, and they've got that one this year. So there's every reason to think that they will be in the hunt, but matchup games have not gone well for Ryan Day of late. And so they've got to turn a corner on that, make the plays that need to be made. And defensively, that's been the issue since 2019 when they were fantastic. Every year since, they just can't get it figured out. So what happens if they do get it figured out? And if they do get it figured out, then I think a lot of teams are in trouble. But, you still have to also score in the red zone and stop teams from scoring in the red zone. So I think there's enough there to be playoff bound for sure. It's just the week to week road games that they have, I think, are concerns. They're talented, more talented than everybody they'll face, but that's been the case for their last 2 games against Michigan, and we've seen what's happened.
Yep. I liked your comment last week or the week before that it's more likely that they'll go 12-0 than it is that they'll go 10-2, with 11-1 being probably most likely of all. To my recollection and understanding, if they all end up 11-1 and 1-1 against each other, I think, after, you sort through all the tiebreakers and everything, this honest to goodness could come down to who played the 3 Western Division teams with the best Big Ten combined record. That way you get credit for beating, because you're all playing the same Eastern Division opponents. The other Eastern Division opponents are all the same. They look at the record of your Western Division opponents, I presume in Big Ten play. And this is one that favors Ohio State because they're playing Wisconsin, who's picked to win the division, Minnesota, who's also picked in the top 2 or 3, and Purdue, who won the division last year. So, it figures to be, anywhere from 3rd to 5th probably this year. To my way of thinking, that tiebreaker would favor Ohio State if it came down to that. But you certainly do not want to leave it to the merits of a tiebreaker of your Western Division opponents. You want to go 12-0, 9-0, and pack your bags and head off to Indianapolis.
It should favor Ohio State. Off the top of my head, I know Penn State's got Iowa and Illinois. So those 2, I don't know what the other, of course, if somebody's got Northwestern, that's really going to weight it down.
That's a killer.
So I don't know off the top of my head.
Sorry, sir, it did not fall your way this year.
And Michigan's got Minnesota, Nebraska, and I think they've got Northwestern.
Penn State has Northwestern.
Penn State's got Northwestern, but they also have Iowa, Illinois. Okay. Yeah. So if you put those 3 together, it sounds like Steve's on it with Ohio State having most likely.
There was a league, the Big 12 years ago with that whole Texas Tech snafu. We all remember that 2010, 2011, whatever year that was. They threw it up to the BCS rankings. And I'm like, how can you do that? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. But because first of all, those weren't coming out till like Monday or Tuesday. So exactly, it's like, how the hell would you know who's getting in? The flip of this is Michigan is playing East Carolina, UNLV, and Bowling Green in the non-conference. They don't deserve any kind of consideration, for that. Penn State, they're playing West Virginia. That's their big game. Ohio State's playing Notre Dame, who is going to be in the top 10 based on what Sam Hartman did in dismantling Navy over the weekend. I was playing golf during that, so I was trying to keep tabs on Peacock with it, and I saw 14-0 after the first period, 28-0 at halftime, and I went, that's enough of that. So really didn't watch one play of it, but I heard Bruce Feldman was on the late Fox game, I think the San Diego State OU game at halftime, and made the comment that Notre Dame finally has a quarterback. And who was their last great quarterback that, was a difference maker? Maybe Deshaun Kaiser. I don't even know. So somebody who put fear in the other team, because he's going to go out and throw for 300 or 400 yards every week. So
This is probably the first guy that has a shot of playing in the NFL since Brady Quinn.
Yeah.
Well, Jimmy Clausen was supposed to be that guy.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was supposed to be that good.
Yeah.
Well, Deshaun Kaiser wasn't even like a second or third round pick.
Yeah.
And the Browns went with Kaiser for 1 year, I think, but
Yep.
whatever.
But even Brady Quinn did just a bunch of dinking and dunking in that Charlie Weiss offense. And
Yes.
that's a long time ago. We don't need to.
Evan
Oh,
showing
there's
up,
Noon.
making a grand
Well,
entrance.
Sorry, I was recording another. I'm very popular these days.
You're a man in demand,
It reminds
cousin
me of
Noon.
when- it reminds me of
Maybe it's apropos that we lost your audio. I don't know.
Try again, Kevin.
What did you say? Oh,
I-
you lost.
I just changed
Oh.
it back. I was going to say, just like back when I was in college, popular with the ladies.
Mm. Yes. Well, we're obviously not popular with you, but here we go.
I can leave. I double booked. It was on me. I had to record a season preview, and I was promised 30 minutes, and it went 47 minutes. So
But
here I
it's the Indiana game, Kevin.
I know, and I was just looking. I just saw somewhere that had it at 29.5, which I like better than 30. So I was very curious about that. Not to step on any toes or anything that's been said, but Indiana 23 transfers into the program. I think only about 5 of them are out of Power 5 or whatever. We don't know who the kicker is, so I'm probably going to have to sit there and take Indiana in the points because that I can't deal with that type of gamesmanship.
That's pretty much says it all right there.
I was
Before I
asking
lay
these
any
people
money
here-
down, I need to know who the kickers are. That is my one rule. I need to know.
There
who's
was one
kicking.
yesterday. Jaden Fielding is going to be the kicker instead of Parker Lewis, who hit about 80% of his field goals in his 2 years at USC. I had him figured to win that job, but Fielding apparently more consistent during preseason camp, and they decided to go with him.
Shouldn't a winner get the scholarship?
I would think Lewis is on scholarship by now, isn't he?
Yeah, but I'm saying shouldn't Jaden Fielding get that scholarship? I mean, he was the walk-on kickoff guy last year. Although they're all cryptic about who is and who isn't on scholarship. at
Yeah,
times.
you don't know. Yeah, they keep it pretty hush hush over there at the Ohio State College. They're real tricky.
We've got Debo Ray making a bold prediction here at 15-0 for the Buckeyes. Kyle wins the Heisman. Well, not if he has to sit out a bunch of series in favor of Devin Brown. Maybe that's going to cost him. But 52-3 over the mighty Hoosiers.
Oof.
Yeah,
I feel pretty good about Ohio State's chances of winning this game by a pretty sizable margin, but I don't know if I'm going to give 49 points or anything like that. If Ohio State goes 15-0, what kind of numbers do we see out of Marvin Harrison Jr.? I mean, might throw a couple bucks on him for the Heisman, even though we know it is a quarterback award and not a receiver award.
Yeah,
some of us
Devontae
already got
Smith.
Marvin Harrison at 60-1. So,
Ooh, wow. That's worth 10 to win 600. Sure.
that's exactly what I did.
it is. It is. Kevin, we were at the point where I was trying to get these two to cough up season-long predictions.
Have they coughed up their predictions yet?
I said leaning on 13-0.
Yes, there was a lot of leaning and thinking.
Leaning on 13-0. So what are they going to skip the playoffs out of decency to allow others to go?
I only get them into the playoff. I don't predict the playoff. That's
It's so much
too
about
hard.
matchups at that point. I agree with Steve there. People are going to be quick to point out that in my 5,000 years of covering this team, I probably don't pick a whole lot of losses in these types of situations. I think 2011 probably was the one year where I did, and it was warranted. I'm between I'm between 12-0 and 11-1 in terms of the regular season, as Ohio State does have the number 9 schedule in the nation, according to one of the analytic services. I'm trying to find out where that loss is. And with much deference to Michael Campbell, the crazy Notre Dame fan, I don't see Ohio State losing to Notre Dame. Certainly not going to lose either of their other non-conference games. So, for all the doomsayers that are saying this team's going to lose 2 or 3 games, okay, you got Michigan at the end of the year at Michigan. Ohio State's on a 2-game losing streak. So I'm not going to get all over somebody who picks Ohio State to fall in that game. But where's the other one coming? Wisconsin with the first-year head coach within that system trying to turn a cat into a dog. I think that might be a little bit difficult. Everybody's certainly in love with Penn State and what Penn State can do, yet we don't know who their starting quarterback is. Spoiler alert, Drew Aller. Or, the annual or a semi-annual trip to Purdue, to Ross-Ade Stadium, the House of Horrors for the Buckeyes. I'll say, just because it's so hard to go undefeated, I'll say 11-1.
Can't believe you're picking them to lose to Michigan.
I didn't say which game. I don't put that on me, Ricky Bobby.
I'm not a which game guy either, in terms of, people try to pin you down. I just lay it out there. So I kind of stuck my neck on the line because I released a power rankings, which basically says these are the 25 best teams in the country right this second. And I put Ohio State at number 4. But this is not December 31st. So I'm making a bit of a projection. And I think Michigan's got a higher floor. We were talking floors and ceilings a couple minutes ago. I do think Michigan has less questions. We've been through it a zillion times. You guys know what those are. I just don't. I think Michigan is rock solid and Ohio State's, but I am going to trust the defensive development under Jim Knowles. I'm going to trust that they made the right decision at quarterback. And if they didn't, that's going to be self-evident in the first 3 games. And then he switched to the other guy, Devin Brown, all of those things. And I just think there's going to be upward trajectory. I'm picking this team to win a national championship.
Oh, my goodness. There you go.
And I haven't done that like in 6 years. So people were jumping on me as soon as, you're a homer. Okay, I went back. A lot of playoff appearances, a lot of national championship game appearances, a few of those. But I went back at least 5 or 6 years, and I couldn't find a national championship pick out of me.
So is that with a loss to Michigan? Are you saying Ohio State is going to lose to Michigan as well, Mark?
No, they win the tiebreaker, an 8-1 tiebreaker. They go to Michigan and win. They peak at the end. They go to Michigan and win.
So they trip up against Penn State.
Well, Kevin, I'm going to use your line. They trip up somewhere at Wisconsin, Penn State.
Open the season with a loss to Indiana, you're saying? That's what you're telling me?
Rutgers is a tough out.
Yes. If they lose to Indiana Saturday, nobody come after me. I'm going to say, hey, my pick's still in order, still in line.